It's 10 o'clock, and this is Fox 10 Talks. We were alerted early this morning that there was going to be a major news conference involving the FBI and, frankly, what is a bombshell investigation that does involve some pretty prominent names in the NBA, including, really on the top of that list, the longtime star player Chauncey Billups, who is now the head coach of the Portland Trailblazers, and then a star guard for the Miami Heat, a guy by the name of Terry Rozier. So, good morning, everybody. I'm Ron Hoon. This is Fox 10 Talks. We're the streaming show people watch around the world on YouTube. Every morning we're live from 10 a.m. till noon. Boy, do we have a great lineup of guests today for you. But let's go right to the news conference and some of the revelations that we learned early this morning.
Today, as you've heard, our office conducted a massive nationwide takedown from 2 indictments of 34 defendants for their alleged involvement in 2 separate illegal poker and sports betting schemes where, as you heard, the odds were rigged in their favor.
The first case, Operation Nothing But Bet, exposed a gambling ring built around professional basketball, where players and associates allegedly used inside information to manipulate prop bets on major sports betting platforms. They placed wagers on unders on players to score less, rebound less, assist less, using information that was not yet public. In some instances, players altered their performance or took themselves out of games to make sure that those bets paid out. One example occurred on March 23rd, 2023 in Charlotte. Terry Rozier, an NBA player now with the Miami Heat, but at the time playing for the Hornets, allegedly let others close to him know that he planned to leave the game early with a supposed injury. Using that information, members of the group placed more than $200,000 in wagers on his under statistics. Rozier exited the game after just 9 minutes, and those bets paid out, generating tens of thousands of dollars in profit. The proceeds were later delivered to his home, where the group counted their cash. As the NBA season tips off, his career is already benched, not for injury, but for integrity. As a result of this investigation, 6 defendants, including Rozier, are now facing conspiracy to commit bank and wire fraud. In a second case, Operation Zen Diagram, investigators uncovered a long-running scheme in which members and associates of several well-known organized crime families rigged high-stakes poker games across the country. These operatives included capos and multiple soldiers from the Bonanno, Gambino, Lucchese, and Genovese crime families, bringing 4 of the 5 families together in a single indictment is extraordinarily rare. It reflects how deep and how far this investigation reached and the skill and the persistence it took to get here. That work uncovered a deliberate, technologically sophisticated operation designed to carry out their crimes. They used custom shuffling machines that could read the order of cards, barcoded decks, and hidden cameras built into tables and light fixtures. The organizers also enlisted well-known public figures, former and current NBA players and coaches, including Chauncey Billups, the head coach of the Portland Trailblazers, an NBA champion and a Hall of Famer, to make the games appear legitimate. Victims believed that they were sitting at a fair table. Instead, they were cheated out of millions. One victim in particular lost $1.8 million. In total, losses exceeded $7 million and continue to climb.
All right, so the story is going to be, it's already big, and it's going to be bigger as the days go on. You just wonder, you had this one player doing it. You hope you don't hear about any more names, but you just don't know. So 10:04, and Syleste joins. Good morning, Syleste.
Good morning, Ron. Good morning, everyone.
We are really excited to have Dr. Jon Shufeldt joining us this morning. You've heard the headlines over the last couple of days. A major donation to Arizona State University. Yes, Syleste is a proud grad.
I am. I am a proud grad. Fear the fork, baby. Fear the fork.
And so Dr. Shufeldt joins us. He's a doctor. He's a lawyer. He's an entrepreneur. And he's our guest today on Fox 10 Talks. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Yeah, good morning. Here,
Yeah.
speak right into that mic
Yeah,
for
we
us.
like
There
to
you go.
pretend it's a radio show.
Honored to be here.
Yes, good.
How tall are you, by the way?
6'4".
Yeah.
I'm sure
Is
I'm
it-
shrinking though.
No, you're very tall.
Celeste likes to ask all the personal questions. Sometimes she asks people's weight.
By the end
Some
of
of
the
their-
show, y'all have your social security
We'll be
number.
like this.
Yeah, we will be.
At what point did you decide, hey, wait a minute? I think I've got the funds that would be necessary to really get things moving for Arizona State's big time plans for this medical school. So I think I'm going to go ahead and do it.
Well, it actually didn't start like that. It started with me listening to Dr. Crow's announcement. And for years, I've been telling people at ASU, like, when are we going to have a medical school here? We need a medical school. And ASU is the perfect place for it. And then I heard his announcement. I heard the vision. I'm like, oh, I said, I'm happy to sweep the floors. I'm in. So then one thing led to another. Went from sweeping the floors to making a donation.
I think sweeping the floors, you're doing a lot more than that. And I think it's a big deal. So thank you.
Boy, yeah.
Once you kind of, are in that room with Michael Crow in the middle of all these big time discussions, how does it feel to know that this is something actually we're starting to see come to fruition?
It is. I could not be more honored or excited. I went around and I interviewed a number of the faculty. And when I came back and talked to Dr. Crow again, I said, let me tell you one thing in common with all of these faculties, all these rock star PhDs and physicians, so they'd all work here for free. The enthusiasm they had for this was absolutely infectious.
Wow.
Now, it is more than just a school of medicine, though, right? I mean, my understanding is there's engineering involved and more. What's your vision for where you want to see it go?
Well, I mean, Dean Linsby and Dr. Gabriel, who's the head of ASU Health, really, and Dr. Gonzalez and Dr. Groh really formulated this as a school that'll be much more than just medicine. It'll be medicine, engineering. It'll really focus on entrepreneurs and visionaries, people who are invested in changing the trajectory of healthcare, not only in Arizona, but across the country.
But how does engineering actually get swept up in all of this? Is that the future of medicines in a way?
It's certainly, there'll be a strong focus on AI there, but when you think of things that really advance the science forward, many of them are engineering related. And that was the genesis behind this. And ASU is a phenomenal engineering school.
Well, and I think you kind of look at, too, the future of robotics when you consider surgeries and things like that, and how engineering, that builds robotics. And then obviously doctors use those in very important surgeries.
Exactly. And just the AI behind the robotics, I mean, it is really a blue ocean sort of strategy there.
Wow.
And so I am no math whiz, as I've revealed on our streaming show before, but the figure is said to be 9 figures. Is my math correct? That's at least $100 million donation?
Well, I put the decimal over to the left a little bit, so I thought it was a lot less.
Oh,
$100.
yeah. Well, anyway, I mean, it is. I saw the picture on Instagram with you and Dr. Michael Crow yesterday, and he had a pretty big smile on his face. I will say that.
It was. I was, like I said, I could not be more honored to be involved.
Yeah.
And because it will change the trajectory.
Well, I just thought it would be really cool to tell our audience a little bit more of your life story. I mean, we still have about 4 or 5 minutes left here in our interview, but I understand that we have a picture of you as a early on in your medical career. Look at that handsome guy.
Yeah.
Holy
no
cow.
kidding.
Yeah.
Highly retouched.
Where is this picture taken from? How did you just begin your journey? I heard a story that you knew you wanted to be a doctor when you were 5 years old. Start from there.
Dr. Giannetti, Oak Park, Illinois, pediatrician, general practitioner. Wanted to be a physician since meeting him. And parents bought me the Time Life book called The Physician, and I read it till the pages fell out. And always knew I wanted to do that. Did incredibly poorly in grade school and high school, but for having friends who studied in college, I probably would have done incredibly poorly there as well. But finally got my feet under me in college, medical school, and emergency medicine, and the rest.
What was it about meeting that pediatrician? We've got some great ones here in the Valley. Our kids, we have some great doctors. But what was it about that relationship, or what did the ped kind of show you? And that, what'd you love about that?
Well, he was a general practitioner, and he was an old school general practitioner. And I remember at 5 years old thinking, this is not how I would have approached a 5-year-old. And I don't know if I was that sophisticated. I was walking out, I go, okay, that was really awkward. And so something's got to change.
Yeah.
Okay,
At 5.
so then
knew already.
advance the story because we just shared that photo. At what point then do you actually kind of launch your medical career, and did it go sort of the way you thought it was going to, or somewhat differently?
I mean, I thought I'd be an academician my entire life, stay in a teacher role, which I tried to do. But I kept seeing things that I thought, we could probably do this better. Someone has to do this better, that somebody is already out there doing this better. And I would look for it and I couldn't find it. So I thought, darn, it's got to be me. And I made more mistakes than you can imagine. But, kind of the urgent care started that way. Telemedicine for me started that way. And then working in indigenous communities started that way as well.
Well, you are very committed to indigenous communities. My understanding is that when you have time available, you get right out there into the parts of our state where people really have some very deep medical needs.
Well, so I started in 2015, and I went out to the San Carlos Indian Reservation, 90 miles east of Phoenix, which was a phenomenal people. I count many of them as friends and family now. But I also realized that the care they were being delivered there was, I don't want to say it was third world, but we could do a lot better that close to the fifth largest city in the country. And that kind of started that for me, and was fortunate to bring a lot of really talented physicians out there and nurses out there to help.
Yeah. And then at some point, you got a law degree. So how does that work into, what you hope to be and do and, here in society?
Well, I thought there'll be some point in my life when I'm not working weekends, holidays, and nights in the emergency department. So I spent about 2 decades at St. Joe's, which is a phenomenal place. Yeah. But I thought at some point I wanted to defend physicians in front of the medical board and also teach physicians on different health law matters. And that's how it started.
Wow,
Amazing.
That's great. And then Next Care. When did the light bulb go off for you to start this company that we all know now?
I was in the emergency department, and a person came in, and their chief complaint was I was almost stung by a bee. And I used to work on a bee farm, so I had instant empathy for him. I said, wait a minute, you were almost stung by a bee? And he goes, well, yeah. So
why are you here?
Why are you here? And I said, he goes, what happens if I almost get stung again? I said, why don't you almost come in? But I did realize that there has to be a place to go for people who are, quote, almost stung by a bee or have minor complaints, because it's not the emergency department. Yeah. And that was the genesis, at least in my head, for urgent care.
And I think it's helped a lot of parents with, sports physicals now.
Totally.
It's like, if you can't get into your ped or your general physician, that's where you go.
Totally. You can walk in anytime.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got a break coming up. If you've got like 2 or 3 extra minutes.
Absolutely.
Okay. We'll keep you around during the break and then just kind of wrap up our conversation with you. But we really appreciate spending some time with us today. By the way, it is time. We do it every morning at 1:15 here on this big streaming show. Also, Josh Kolsrud, speaking of getting a law degree.
Oh, my goodness.
One of the smartest guys in town with a law degree. We'll be talking about this big NBA scandal and more. But first, here is your mystery Cam. Where is that? We'll be right back. All right, Syleste, are you seeing some guesses on our mystery cam, wherever that is? If you like a nice cloudy, rainy day on a freeway drive somewhere, plus you got the advantage of pulling over to a Mickey D's. You see the McDonald's sign there.
I think we have some rain there as well, and Tesla chargers off to the bottom.
Yeah.
Bottom right. So I think maybe it's kind of like a hip town, or
Okay,
you know
sure.
what I mean? Like you're right on the freeway.
You know, I'm looking, I don't see on our monitor our YouTube comments today.
No.
So I'm not, do you,
Well, we
do you
have,
see them?
We do. Well,
good.
not
Okay.
yeah, we have them right here.
Take it away.
So we've got a New York
Okay.
From Matt Robinson, Virginia from Jens Wall, Connecticut, S. Marino 19,
Yep.
New York State from Halakita.
What about Troy? He's like, maybe Tacoma. I like that.
Potentially.
And Muffins is now more of a regular commentator saying
Yes.
I don't think it's Tucson today.
No, I don't think so either. But we've got some good guesses. Ron, what are you going to go with?
I think I'm going to go with Halakita and New York State because it's been her birthday week.
Yes.
You know, a lot of folks are kind of jumping on the Halakita bandwagon. I think I will too.
I'm going to go with like a Utah.
Okay.
Like northernmost portion of Utah.
Okay.
We had a couple of we had someone in here that said Utah as well.
Okay.
Okay, here's
Here
your
we go.
mystery camera.
And here's the answer.
Salamanca, New York.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay.
all you folks who guessed New York, there you go. You're the winner.
I don't know exactly where that is, but it reminded me of a drive in upstate New York up kind of toward the Adirondacks.
Oh.
You know, as you go north of Albany and
Yes.
Glen Falls and all of that.
Well,
Let's go back
I
one
did
more.
live in
Yeah.
Salamanca for some time in college, but Salamanca, Spain.
Ah,
in
there you are. The
college.
other Salamanca.
The much fancier type,
Yeah.
European.
Okay. So, you know, we just have about a minute and a half, 2 minutes left here with our guest, Dr. Jon Shufeldt. And so, if you take a step back, thanks in large part to your donation, but also to the great number of people who really are so committed to seeing this medical school become the success that pretty much everything Michael Crow has touched has turned to gold. What's your vision for where you would like to see it be, say 5 or 10 years from now?
I want to ensure that the medical school, and I have no doubt that it will, I want to ensure that the medical school puts out physician leaders, but they also have a high degree of compassion, because I do think that's one of the things that's, I don't want to say missing in healthcare, but there's sometimes not enough time for physicians to demonstrate that compassion to their patients.
And I think that's memorable for a lot of people. You mentioned the doctor when that
Yes.
you right when you were 5 years old. That bedside manner, I think, keeps patients then going back to that same doctor over and over. And then they send their children to that doctor.
And then feeling comfortable, and I think
Yeah.
people want to be treated by people that are at least like them. So whether they're transgendered, whether they're different ethnicities, just making sure we have a diverse enough pool of physicians in the country to treat our diverse population.
Well, we hope you'll come in and join us in the future as well.
Thank
You're
you.
such an interesting guy with such an interesting
We
story
could chat
to
with
tell.
you all hour.
Yeah, we
to
could.
learn about your law degree, all the businesses that you have.
Celeste, this is a 2-hour streaming show.
Right, okay.
Let's just make an executive call right now. Do you have 2 hours? to talk?
Absolutely.
Oh, he says yes. That's a big deal.
Well, you're welcome anytime, that's for
Thank
sure.
you.
Thanks again.
Nice to meet you, John.
Okay. All right. On to our legal segment now, because one of the big legal stories that we continue to follow here in the Valley of the Sun has to do, this is one of the most high-profile murder cases in a decade. And we're going to follow it closely for you. Alison Feldman, everybody remembers this case. I think if you were living here in 2015, it was unsolved for months. It was unsolved for years. And then finally a break in the case and an arrest made. But then that's just when the controversy began. So we decided to ask our great friend and a really brilliant legal mind, Josh Kolsrud, to come in and talk a little bit about this case and some of the other big cases in the news today. Josh, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. What is it about this case that you think, are we still in the level where it's groundbreaking with the kind of DNA technology they're using? And is it still legally iffy in any way?
Well, it is a little bit of both, and I'll tell you why. So the genetic genealogy research really came to the forefront in the Brian Kohberger case. And if you remember, he's the defendant who was convicted of murdering 4 women in Idaho who went to Idaho State College. And in fact, one of the victims lived here in the Valley. And the FBI got in hot water in that case because they found some DNA on a knife sheath. And the FBI ran it through their system and didn't find anybody that it matched to. So what they did was, the next part is controversial. They created fake profiles on 23andMe and Ancestry.com and inputted the DNA that they found on the knife sheath into those databases to see if there were any people that were related to that DNA. And they were able to use that and triangulate the family around Kohberger to eventually discover who he was.
Okay.
And not only that, but then they told the Idaho State Police that they wanted them not to talk about this and to pretend like they discovered who Brian was, Mr. Kohberger, organically, which is another controversy in that case.
But I thought it had to do with that white car that was seen racing past the gas station on the way out of town at the very moments after the murder.
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
They knew that in Brian Kohberger's case, they worked backwards. So they knew who he was, but they had to work backwards to show that it was organic, to make it look like they knew who he was from that type of information.
So how does this all tie into the Ian Mitchum, Alison Feldman murder case?
Okay, so let's talk about that. So in that case, you have the defendant who was arrested for a DUI. And because of that, his blood had to be drawn, which is a search, okay? So he was, consented to have his blood drawn for that purpose only, and the agreement that he had with the Scottsdale Police Department was that his DNA profile would then be destroyed. But it wasn't. So about a month after he got the DUI, we know that the young lady was murdered. And the investigation began, and the crime scene, which was horrible, there was blood everywhere, and by all accounts, it was one of the worst crime scenes in recent memory. The police obtained a DNA profile, but they couldn't match it to anybody in their database. So they asked the DPS, the Department of Public Safety, to check and see if anybody in the prison system had a match to it, very similar to what they did with Brian Kohberger. They wanted to kind of triangulate to see if there were any family members that could be related to where this DNA came from. And it just so happens that the defendant in this case had a brother who was in prison, and that's how they discovered who the defendant was in this case. And so that was so then they were able to match it to the DNA from the DUI case. Now that's where the controversy comes in. So because the defendant didn't consent to allow his DNA to be matched to the evidence at the crime scene, the Superior Court judge said this is a violation of his Fourth Amendment right for unreasonable search and seizures, and dismissed the case. Suppress the evidence, which would mean dismissing the case. It was appealed to the appellate court. The appellate court said, no, not so fast. It may have been an illegal search and seizure, but there was an exception. And that exception was that it would be inevitable discovery, that law enforcement would inevitably find out who he was, so no harm, no foul. And then it was appealed to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said, we agree with the appellate court that, yes, it was an illegal search and seizure, but the DNA profile would have inevitably been found in this particular case. And so we're going to allow it to happen here. And so that's where we are right now. The DNA evidence comes in, despite it being very controversial.
Okay.
And that sets precedent.
Yes,
I
it
think,
does.
Right? For a lot of other states.
And Arizona.
And Arizona for future cases to have to deal with situations like this.
Yes.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Okay, let's talk about. I already have a feeling. Let me just ask now. Can you stick around during the break?
Absolutely.
We have so many things to talk about. This NBA bombshell announcement today. What's your broad view? What's your take? It seems like it's going to be so complex. You got the Gambino crime family allegedly involved and other crime families in New York. You have prominent names in the NBA. Boy, this seems like, A, it's complicated. B, I'm fascinated by reports of like an X-ray machine on the table, that's counting cards, that you have some secret glasses that
Contact
you can use.
lenses.
Something out of James Bond.
It really
does.
is. Well, the table is the X-ray machine,
Yeah.
according to the FBI, anyway.
And yet you have, I think, over 30 people already indicted. How complicated will this be, and what should people really be looking for as it unfolds?
It's a very complicated case that spans over 11 states and over 30 defendants. And the major charges include wire fraud, money laundering, gambling, and conspiracy. Now, wire fraud and money laundering each carry a potential sentence of 20 years in prison. Now, it's unlikely that anybody will get 20 years in prison. However, the seriousness of the charges really shows you the strength of the government's hand. No pun intended.
Yeah.
And what we're going to see here is a conspiracy between NBA players and coaches with the organized crime bosses, two really prominent mafia families in New York. Now, the question is going to be, who is the FBI really going after? Is it the players and coaches? Or is it like a bigger fish? Is it the mafia family? And if you're the attorney for Chauncey Billups, for instance, you're going to want to figure that out. Is Chauncey Billups the main target here, or is it somebody else? Because if it's somebody else, there may be some avenues that he could certainly get a much better plea agreement by some type of cooperation.
Do you think it's a mix, maybe, of what you're saying? They get a hold and they arrest or charge these players, and that's kind of the hook, right, for the future and for the public in terms of, wow, these NBA players are now accused, and then they also have a situation, they called it La Cosa Nostra. It's the name for the Sicilian mafia and the American counterpart, the Italian-American mafia, which is a number of different mafia families that we've heard about in movies or read about in books or watched in documentaries.
Sounds like an episode out of The Sopranos, does it not?
Yeah. And not just one family, though, but it really is an incredible case, I think, that has garnered so much national attention this morning. We're going to take a quick break, but we're going to continue the conversation with you in just a quick moment. Here's a beautiful shot, folks.
There you go. Okay, Josh, back in 2 minutes. There you go. This one we've used enough. I do believe it's Idaho, Syleste.
It's so beautiful.
Up there above Coeur d'Alene in Kellogg, Idaho. Big ski hill, which right now just a dusting of snow. But hey, it'll be hopefully a good ski season all across the West. I'm Ron.
Hi, Ron.
She's Syleste.
Hello.
This is Josh.
Hi, Josh.
We love it once a week or every couple of weeks to have Josh come in and just talk. And the timing couldn't be better. Speaking of timing, Josh, do you find it interesting that on opening 2 days of the NBA, that this whole thing broke wide open?
Very interesting, and certainly not a coincidence. Leave it to the FBI to wait till the first game of the season to break this huge story about the NBA. And it was certainly brought to the public's attention for a reason. A lot of the allegations took place last season. And it tells me that likely they could have brought this case, 6 months ago, but they certainly waited for this moment for maximum exposure.
What was something interesting that you took from the press conference and the case in particular? There's so many different things I think that make it unique, but was something that stuck out to you?
Well, what stuck out to me is the prevalence of gambling now in sports. It's much more akin to the stock market. Growing up, people could bet on wins and losses, and now you can bet on each miss and each foul, whether or not someone leaves a game. And now that people are just a thumb click away from access to all of the casinos,
so true.
It really blurs the line between what's legal and not legal. And for example, people pay big money in the stock market to know inside information. It's the same process with sports. And here you have a player or two that was providing inside information to gamblers about who's injured, or maybe I'm going to take myself out of the game today, because that type of information is so valuable to people placing bets.
Wow.
Okay, we're going to shift to one more topic that we did want to talk about, and it focuses on the Supreme Court, and it looks like there, in the coming months, could be a major ruling when it comes to this effort now on the part of certain states to redraw their congressional districts that, depending on which state you're in, if you're in California, will now more greatly favor Democrats. If you're in Texas, will now more greatly favor Republicans. What is caught up in all of this, and where do you see the case going?
So there's a case out of Louisiana where the allegation is that district lines, that is the district that determines who the representative is going to be from, the congressional district for the federal House of Representatives, was based primarily on race. And if that is true, it's a violation of the 14th and 15th Amendments. However, what the proponents of that districting are saying is that minorities are underrepresented and that they actually need race-based districting in order for there to be some type of parity and fairness. And that's
been going on since the Voting Rights Act was passed 2 generations ago.
Exactly. Right? But for whatever reason, a case like this hasn't really ever been presented to the Supreme Court. Now, because there are, 6 conservative justices on the Supreme Court, it's very likely that this type of redistricting is going to be shot down. And this is going to have a huge impact on midterm elections. So right now, the Democrats are favored to win the House of Representatives by 60%, according to ChatGPT. However, if the Supreme Court rules against this type of redistricting, that percentage goes all the way down to 30%.
Really?
Yes. And so if that happens, the Democrats can really kiss away goodbye the opportunity to have any type of congressional investigations into the White House. And it'll have a tremendous impact on the 2028 race for president.
It has always been partisan, this idea of redistricting, right?
Yes.
It has always been a political tool, I guess you could say.
This goes back 200 years to a guy named Jerry. in Massachusetts. That's why we call it the gerrymandering.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. But anyway, okay, Josh.
We do love Jerry's around here, though, and Ben and Jerry's, Ron.
There you go. Yeah, we need another ice cream shop downtown. Josh, thank you, buddy.
Good to see you, my friend.
Oh, we always learn a lot from you.
Yes, we
That's
do.
for sure. Okay, on to some of the other stories this morning. We have, frankly, you could call these next couple of stories our survival segment, because I don't know if you heard about this. It was one of our big stories early this morning, but a lady was struck by a train and lived overnight in Glendale. It happened late last night between 10 and 11 o'clock. The train was moving pretty slowly. You know, there along Grand Avenue, you got a bunch of train tracks. It was there at about 59th Avenue. And the conductor engineer said to investigators overnight, look, I saw her out there on the tracks. Looked like she was crying, but it's very difficult to bring these trains to a stop too quickly. And when the officers got there, Celeste, she was still alive.
I know, it's amazing.
But under the train.
Yeah, and she had a bunch of broken bones and fractures. She had some lacerations to her face.
Yeah, broken foot,
but
spine fractures.
Yeah, but they say she's going to survive.
Wow.
Is that not incredible?
It is incredible. You just wonder what she was going through in her life that had her there on the train tracks. But
we hope the best for her, because that's pretty difficult. Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's the story coming out of Flagstaff. You and I were talking about this almost 24 hours ago.
Yeah.
Once we got the alert that they were going to get up there to try to rescue people that were stuck up on the top of Mount Humphreys because of a lightning strike.
Yeah, so the Humphreys trailhead is at Arizona Snowball. They're at base camp. And then you hike up, and I believe I was chatting with Robert Steve, who's the editor-in-chief of Arizona Highways. He says that the hike is about maybe around 7 miles or so, maybe 6-7 miles.
Each way?
Each way.
Okay.
Once you get up about 5 miles, then you're out of the trees. So you're in the forest for about 5 miles, and then above that, you've got no protection from any storms or anything else.
Okay.
We do know that the rescuers hiked 5 miles to reach them. So we don't have any indication about what happened. We do know one of the victims is Canadian, from Canada. Another is from Flagstaff. But yesterday, when this whole thing happened, that top of the San Francisco peak was shrouded in clouds. You could not see in, nor I'm guessing they could not see out. But both struck by lightning, and it's pretty. And even Robert Steve, who he's written many hiking books, and he's pretty well, knows the mountain very well. He says that at one point, this is centuries ago, the San Francisco peaks was one giant volcano, and some people believe that it may have been higher than Mount Everest before, obviously, it erupted. And so if you are hiking up there, he says the air is so thin because you're up at 12,000 feet in elevation. He said he's seen many storms where he's turned around and walked right back to his car.
I'm so glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
We have a little clip. That was a great interview. In case you missed it with Celeste and Robert, and he's experienced a hiker up in that area, other parts of the state. Here's what he actually said.
Been on it many times.
Yeah, and I can't speak to the circumstances yesterday. I will tell you that, freak weather patterns obviously happen. However, between 30 degrees and 60 degrees north latitude, our weather mostly comes from the west. And when you're in Flagstaff, you can see a long way. So it's hard to get caught off guard in a general sense. Again, I don't know what happened yesterday, but here's the thing. When you're hiking up in the high country like that and the weather does turn, even if it comes out of nowhere, you stop and you turn around. The thing about this hike, and again, when you're hiking in bad weather, you stop and you turn around. There's the most important rule in alpine hiking is it's more important to get down than it is to get up. And that's hard for people because people are what I call peak baggers. They want to cross it off the list. I hiked the highest peak in Arizona, but I've turned around, I bet, honestly, at least 5 different times on that trail just because, clouds moved in. And what happens, Celeste, is when you get about the last mile, you get above the tree line. So you're just completely exposed to the weather up there. And that's where, and you can kind of see it in that image there. It's the tree's end, and it's the only tundra we have in Arizona. When you're standing up there, you're a lightning rod, basically.
How's that for a quote?
Yeah.
You're the lightning rod because it's bare. There's no trees up there.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Okay, so again, they survived. We hope they pull through without any major long-term damage. But hey, if you're hit by lightning, who knows?
I know. We hope
Right.
they're okay. Yeah, pretty scary stuff for sure.
Really interesting. The Hill, which is one of the great political websites, came out this morning with a report saying that the White House, that they have confirmed with the White House who's making the donations. By the way, there it is.
Oh, is that the renovation project? That's looking ahead.
Oh, and he's holding up some of the images right there.
Yeah.
But I love that 3D model. That was really interesting. They said that Amazon has donated, Apple, Caterpillar, Comcast,
Nice.
Google, Hard Rock.
Wow. Well, I wonder if they're going to put some guitars in there on the wall.
Right? Meta, Micron, Microsoft, Palantir, T-Mobile. I mean, it's sort of a who's who in the business world. But
So no taxpayer money is going to be used.
doesn't sound like it at all.
And I think they received some heat, the White House, the administration, for doing something like this in the middle of a government shutdown. But the Fed Reserve, they've been doing some.
That's a good point, Celeste.
Their whole building is getting a renovation.
Yeah.
And it has been for a few years.
And that one, I think, probably is paid for by the taxpayers.
It is, absolutely. So I looked up and I thought, what is in the East Wing? If
Okay.
it was the West Wing, it'd be different, right?
Sure, right.
East Wing is First Lady's office, visitor's entrance.
Sure.
It contained the Presidential Emergency Operations Center,
Okay.
a bunker.
Mhm.
So right now, so it doesn't. Although
Well-
it's technically part of the White House, it doesn't have any huge historical significance.
Sure. But then also the East Room, I think.
Yes.
Right, is also part of it where they already have gatherings, but they're saying this is going to be 3 times from 30,000 to 90,000
Yeah.
square feet.
Imagine the First Lady's office. What'll it look like now?
Yeah, I know.
Chandeliers.
But for now, she's working with some boxes, in a small office somewhere downstairs.
I wonder if Amazon is going to provide like the sconces and the lighting.
Yeah.
Maybe those Amazon boxes are going to get,
Sure.
delivered.
They're being delivered today, right on time. Okay, so here's our poll question. What do you think? This is really interesting. And so the construction is rolling along. 56% of people are saying, why are people opposed? It's not coming out of their taxes. 12% say it's a bad look to do in the middle of furloughs and a government shutdown to build an opulent ballroom. And over 30% say should have gone through a longer process. It is a historic building.
So the numbers on YouTube are fairly similar.
Oh, really?
Why are people opposed? It's not coming out of their taxes. 42%. It's lower than what our TV viewers are saying, but still the highest number. 29% say it's a bad look during furloughs to build an opulent ballroom, and 29%, same number, says should have gone through a longer process. It is a historic building.
One of the things we promise and deliver on every day here.
Is our beauty shot with music?
No, it's the other. It's the other beauty shot, and he's coming up next. Everybody. All right, everybody, welcome back. That is beautiful downtown Spokane.
Yeah,
Celeste.
Ron, as we were taking a look, I could see there was a kind of a glimmer in your eye as you were staring back down your old stomping grounds.
My old TV station, KXLY, Spokane, is probably no more than about 300 yards away from there.
So have you kept in touch with anyone there at the TV station?
We actually had a reunion. Now, this was more my radio friends.
Oh, radio friends.
A few years ago, all the DJs I had, because way before TV,
Yeah.
then I worked at the big Top 40 station in Spokane, KJRB, Spokane.
Well, Ron, you do not have a face for radio.
Celeste. It's a weird kind of a compliment, but I'll take it. Hey, let's get to Dave on the Dave cam. Buddy, what are you seeing when it comes to this ballroom? What are folks saying?
Yeah, a lot of really interesting comments as always. Christine Carroll in Mesa says it is sad that all of this opulent work is going on while many Americans are suffering during this shutdown. It looks bad and tone deaf. Michelle Robb in Kingman says unnecessary expense no matter who is paying for it. I was under the impression that Trump said no damage to existing historical buildings. Another lie, I guess. I think Trump should be more worried about the government shutdown than a ballroom. Hokey Pokey Potts on YouTube says Trump said that he and his wealthy donors are going to foot the bill, but they should have been footing the bill to help the old, sick, and poor in our country by paying more taxes. And finally, Charles David 5137 says let's get the government going again and maybe talk about another stimulus check before we think about dancing the night away. Really interesting comments as always. Keep them coming. We love hearing from you.
Now, sometimes, Celeste, we
Yes.
ask Dave to stick around.
To go to
and-
Walmart.
To go to Walmart. Where did that pop up from?
I don't know, but
I punched a button. It's on
I'm
me.
down with saving money any day of the week, Ron.
Yeah, for sure. But I said, Dave, we're going to have one of the prominent dating experts in our country
Now you're talking.
on our show
Thank
today.
you.
Do you remember back in your dating days, and you can chat about this as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
One good piece of advice from, and you'll be from the woman's perspective, Dave
Yeah.
from the guy's perspective. All right, Dave, you guys have been happily married, what, 11, 12 years now, something like that?
Years, yeah.
How many?
11 years.
Wow, you're
What-
doing something right.
If you go back in your mind, give us one good piece of dating advice, because obviously it worked out for you.
Gosh, that's such a hard one. But I would say that a good piece of dating advice for me was to make sure that the love language is appreciated, respected, and gone after. So if you know each other's love language, then you try to speak that language as much as you can to them.
Wow, look at Dave getting deep.
I know.
Big Dave getting deep.
At the risk of TMI, Dave, what is your love language?
Mine is words of affirmation. My wife's is acts of service.
Oh, that's so great. Dave is the most positive guy in the newsroom, everybody. So that doesn't surprise me.
This is
Yeah.
actually, what is that show, Deep Thoughts? Was that SNL or something?
Oh, yes. Yeah,
That's
going to
be the next one. Big
All right.
deep.
Celeste,
Big deep getting deep.
here's Gary. He's like, this is the girl for me. And you guys have been married how long now? Come on, you need to be able to answer that question without a big long pause. Celeste, let's play the game show music while Celeste ponders. Let's see. Have I been married? Is it 20, 20-ish, 30? What? How long have you guys been married?
19.
19 years.
19, little
Okay.
over 19
Give
years.
us one good piece of dating advice.
Don't take each other too seriously. If you can laugh at one another.
Yes.
I'm with D, Big D, on the love languages.
Okay.
And we do date nights, but that's kind of a thing I've talked about.
Right.
But if you always have a little bit of laughter, if you can laugh at yourself
Yeah.
and laugh at them, not when it does anything crazy.
Yeah.
But I think that is the true thing. Like,
Okay.
you know what I mean? Like,
Great.
because it lightens up the mood
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
adds a little bit of levity.
I think sense of humor is underrated.
It really
It should be like
is.
number 1, 2, or 3 on your list.
Oh my goodness.
Right?
Because at some point, Ron, the looks will fade. Did you know this?
Really? Okay.
The looks.
When does that happen, Celeste? Do you want to call out an age? Considering I'm a gentleman in my 60s?
100 years. When you're 100 years old. And you want to be able to have like a genuine conversation with somebody across the table.
Yeah.
You know, you're sitting at Denny's, you're having a burger.
Right.
They got great burgers at Denny's, by the way.
Slams starting at $5.
Wow.
5 slams.
There you go.
Now, they start at 5. I took my grandson there the other day. They're not all 5.
Can I have pop? Also chocolate on top. And can I add whipped
we
cream?
got to get to our guests, so let me just real quick mention. Mine is to the guys out there.
Yes.
Is go. I know we're in 2025. It's modern dating and everything else. Still be chivalrous.
Yes.
Still be the gentleman that maybe you think is even out of style. I've told the story of I was opening my car door for my wife at the Tillamook Cheese Factory.
Oh, I'm glad you mentioned that.
In
I have
Oregon.
a story for you in a second.
And a lady walking by looks at me like I'm from Mars because I'm opening somebody else's door at my wife.
And this was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago. It was probably a good 15 years ago. She says, "Oh, how nice
of
you to do that." And I'm like, I have opened her door since our very first date, and we've been married 47 years.
You know, and there's something about cheese too, Ron.
Correct.
It reminded me, it wasn't my husband, but I had a date bring me cheese cubes.
Yeah.
Because he knew I loved cheese.
Well,
and I still remember him all these days later.
Can I tell you, cheese is my love language? All right, let's bring her in, everybody, because we've been looking forward to this interview all morning long. Jennifer Stiles joins us. Jennifer, what's your takeaway from our mindless chatter here over the last 3 minutes?
Oh my God, I love it. It was great. It was great. Cheese is a love language. You know, it's beautiful because it was so interesting to listen, because you talk about laughter and, you know, the looks go away and, you know, you have to have something, and you're so right. You do. You know, it's interesting that laughter may not be it for, you know, if somebody's more quiet. It may be the conversation. It may be the quiet times that people are able to have together, to be able to be together, but be quiet together. I mean, it's amazing, but Dave had it right. It's like that love language, knowing what that person's love language is and being able to speak to it. And I also feel like people should have compatible love languages. So it sounds like you guys have met partners that you do, but it makes it so much easier to have a compatible love language with somebody.
What are those compatible love languages? So let's say in Dave's case, for example, his are words of affirmation and his wife's are acts of service. Are those compatible love languages?
If they have the same, if they both have them. So when I say compatible, it means that they both have to have them, right? So, so acts of service, that's a way of showing love. It's also how we receive it. So if her love language is acts of service and yours isn't, but yours is gifts, let's say, you could bring her all the gifts in the world and she's not going to feel loved if you're not doing something for her. Right. So when you share the same love languages, whether that's quality time, these are the big ones.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Service being the big ones. When you share those love languages, that's what makes it easy, is that you're both just feeding each other constantly without trying, because you both love being together. Yeah.
Here I am now wondering, let's say we have somebody out in the audience who is maybe their first relationship or marriage just didn't work out, but that was several years ago, and they want to get back into the dating scene. What are the biggest changes that you have noticed, say, over the last maybe 10 years or even longer?
Wow, there's so many changes that have happened. You know, biggest change is technology took over. So for those people that maybe haven't been engrossed in technology the way people are now with dating apps and such, that's changed a lot. How you meet somebody, you know, you were talking about holding the door open and those old-fashioned gestures. Those aren't widespread. They're not everywhere anymore. Going on traditional dates, dating traditionally is not what it used to be. So if somebody's been with somebody for a long time, the landscape is not going to look the same. They're going to be like, how do I find my people? Where do I find my people, especially if you don't want to do online dating, which nobody does, by the way. So, so when you don't want to do online dating, how do you find somebody? And that's the biggest challenge, is finding your people.
So one question here for you. I know we just have a couple more minutes with you, but if you could pick one thing we should do on our first date with someone, what would that be?
Ooh, listen. Ask questions and listen. I think so many people try to sell themselves on a first date, and they spend so much time going, do you like me? And how do I make you like me? Instead of asking questions and really listening to see what commonalities you have with somebody, hearing who they are, what things they believe in, where you have commonalities in values and lifestyle.
That's great.
Yeah, it really is. And so what would you say are the biggest mistakes, either the guy or the girl? What are maybe 2 or 3 things that, as you've counseled with couples, over the various years, what are the things that really need to kind of be 86'd?
Okay, so I would say for the guys, the one thing guys need to do, I know you're very visual and you want to be attracted to your person, which everybody does, but try stepping out of that a little bit, getting out of that superficiality a little bit, and maybe going for somebody that might not be a 10, but she's a 7, and you're looking forward to getting to know her a little bit more and getting to know her personality and all of that stuff, because there's a lot more, especially as you get older. You're not having to have babies anymore and raise kids. It's all about compatibility and how you're, what things you have in common and how you're going to spend the rest of your life together. So it's so important. And for women, this is, get rid of the expectations, ladies. Stop expecting men to be a certain way. Just because you love text messaging or you're, really quick to respond, it doesn't mean that he is. And don't write somebody off because they're not exactly like you or doing things exactly like you want them to do. Our date's Friday, but it's Wednesday and I haven't heard from them yet, so they must not be interested, or they're a player. And so they start getting in their head and making assumptions. Women do this all the time and kill it before a first date.
All right, Jennifer, thank you. If folks want to reach you, we just have a few seconds left. How do they find you?
My website is lovejen, LOVEJENN.com.
Okay, great. Jennifer, you are so wonderful. We hope you'll come back.
Thank you. It was fun. Yeah. I'll do this anytime.
Oh, my
Good.
goodness.
Oh, excellent.
Okay.
Dave, make notes on that.
Big D.
All of our guests today have been amazing.
I know.
Right?
I know. And I love the fact that she said, guys, don't expect a 10.
Yeah.
Get a 7 and have a good conversation and a great meal.
See,
have
there
some
you go.
cheese.
Right.
Yes.
And you guys here in the chat, everybody who's watching on YouTube, we're all great conversationalists around here. Celeste and I try to keep it going, but we can only do it with your help, too. All right, Celeste, our hour has already wrapped up.
Already?
I know.
Well, we do have a segment, Ron, that was birthed today.
Oh, yes?
Deep Thoughts with Big D.
There you go. And is cheese the love language of America or not?
We got to get Tillamook on the phone next week.
Ty is coming up with Danielle next, everybody.
All right. Good morning, everyone. I want to. Mom and Dad are gone. So just a heads up, everyone. I'll apologize ahead of time. So we're here in place of Ty and Anita. Ty is out doing a couple things this afternoon. So me and Krystal are holding down the fort. First time on the board here. First time doing everything. So we will try to do Ty and Anita justice.
Yeah.
This morning. So we got a lot going on here today. And I think some of the most, the lightning. Krystal, we've been, I know yesterday was kind of a wild little, the showers happening and lightning. We had that one garage that got, or that home
in Avondale. Or the Avondale area.
That got hit by lightning and a lot going on.
Gosh, and that house, where the strike hit in the kitchen was a mess.
And that poor mother, she said the one thing that we were able to get out was
ashes of
their son's ashes.
Yeah.
So, terrible story. But we even have some video that we have, right? That's
I think so. There were thunderstorms that moved through the valley, as we knew, and then moved up towards Flag, and then in Flagstaff. So this is the video that's rolling right now.
Oh, there we go.
This was conditions over the San Francisco peaks yesterday afternoon as storms were rolling through, and it ended up that 2 people, it was reported, ended up getting lightning strike injuries. As far as we know, not fatalities. I think that we reported one of them was able to get down the mountain on their own. One, they had to hike up like 5 miles to rescue them.
Yes.
As a result of the lightning strikes that happen up at the mountaintops, which lightning likes the path of least resistance. So if there is a mountain, that's where it's going to strike, nearby. If there's a tall tree, it's going to go for the tall tree. So it's no surprise that it was up on the mountaintop where folks were hiking. So this is, I think, just some different shots from Arizona Highway Magazine of our beautiful mountains.
It is so pretty. Yeah, and for folks who don't know, Humphreys is the highest peak in Arizona. So those 2 hikers, what we do know, there was one from the area. There was also another hiker from Canada. Those 2 hikers had to be rescued after all of that lightning yesterday. And as Krystal was mentioning, hiking up 5 miles to go try to rescue them. I mean, wow, that had to have been difficult.
Yeah, we're always grateful for the rescue teams that put their lives on the line to make sure that other people are safe. But this is also always unfortunate because, as meteorologists, as forecasters, we try to make sure that we warn people with enough time to not recreate if it's a day where there is storm threat. Sometimes they do pop up kind of out of nowhere, seemingly, and sometimes it can be a little tricky when it comes to lightning because you can get something called bolts out of the blue, which means a storm is very far off in the distance. You have a blue sky overhead and you're like, I'm fine here, and you may not be fine. Lightning can strike up to, I think, 10 miles or a little farther outside of the main body of a storm. So you can be in full blue sky and a lightning bolt can reach where you are if there is a thunderstorm somewhere in the vicinity.
Got it. Okay.
Which is why, we always hear everybody's like, oh, you guys say these same lines over and over and over. But when thunder roars go indoors, has actual value to it because of that. So if you want to switch over to my weather graphics.
Yes, let's see here.
I have a little bit of info on lightning safety and lightning fatalities. There's a lot of different organizations that put together data on this. The CDC, of course, NOAA with National Weather Service. And then we also have the Lightning Safety Council, which is super useful as well.
There we go.
Okay, so these are some of the stats. Between 2006 and 2021, there were nearly 500 deaths nationally when it came to lightning strikes.
Oh my gosh.
So, this is something that happens every single year.
Yeah.
There are certainly hot spots around the country, and they are typically spots where the weather is a little better. No surprise, people are out more.
Right.
Arizona being one of the hot spots, it's one of the states considered the most active when it comes to lightning deaths. Florida is the worst. It's known as kind of like lightning central, especially because people go out on the beaches. They ignore the fact that thunderstorms can pop up there virtually every day.
Yep.
And then you have those dangers. This year, there's been 20 deaths nationally when it comes to lightning strikes. None have happened in Arizona. This is an interesting stat. Ladies can take from it what they want.
We were talking about this today. I'm like, oh boy, here we go.
Men are 4 times more likely to be struck. If you look at the lightning stats, I looked at like the last. Here, I'm going to pull it up on my website because we've got time to talk about it. I have a bunch of different sites I've got open. Let me find the one I was looking for. Here we go. I'm just scrolling down. I showed this to Ty earlier because he was like, really, are you sure? And I was like, yeah, man.
Yeah, we're pretty positive.
So this year, of the 20 deaths, 17 have been male, 3 have been female. Last year, there were 13 deaths, 11 were male, 2 were female. And in 2023, of the 14 deaths from lightning strikes, 11 were male, 3 were female. It pretty much continues that way. One of the highest amounts was back in 2016. I would presume that was just a year where we had quite a bit of thunderstorm activity as a whole across the country. There were 40 deaths, 31 were male, and 9 were female. So men more often than women end up getting struck by lightning, unfortunately. So
men, go inside.
Men, heed those warnings. Yes. I know you don't believe them, but
they're true.
It occurs most often in summertime, which also is not a surprise. People have off, but also it's just the time of year when people get out more often. Weekends, of course, Saturday being the hot spot, and between noon and 6 p.m., again, no surprise, that's when people get outside most often. Recreation and work actually end up being the 2 top causes of lightning deaths. And I
guess
believe,
with work, if you're working outside, you really don't have a choice.
Yes.
Sometimes, I mean, in most cases, you're just kind of out and about.
Yeah, and they always say that, especially in a work environment, that if you feel like it's unsafe, you should talk to a supervisor.
Sure.
It's not worth risking your life, of course. And most companies do have protocol when it comes to lightning safety and everything. Looks like there's been a couple questions in the chat.
I did read a question. I think it was Charles David who asked it. He said, what's the difference between a storm and a thunderstorm?
Oh, okay. So realistically, when someone says like a storm, that's kind of like a broad sweeping word. Mm-hmm. So by that, I mean like you might call just like a whole system a storm system. I think that's just a more broad word. A thunderstorm is when you have lightning that's going to create thunder moving through. And like a severe thunderstorm warning is an actual defined situation when you have a storm that's strong enough to produce like 60-mile-per-hour winds, which is enough to cause damage. Right. Small hail, things like that, 1 inch in diameter or larger. So there's some thresholds that make it more a defined thing, whereas storms more loose. Like if I'm talking about an area of low pressure, on air especially, that's a little like wordy. People don't exactly know what that means. So I probably am just going to call it a storm system. So more like a loose like coverall word. Yeah. I think I see another one.
I have a question. If you can read that one as well. But so when there's going to get maybe a game called off or something because there's lightning and then you have to wait a certain amount of time. So like I remember we were in Utah for the ASU game and there was lightning. So then we had to wait 30 minutes.
Oh, yes.
Until there was like no lightning.
Let's pop my graphics back up for a second and we'll go to my next little page here.
Okay.
So when it comes to lightning safety, there's a few things you can do to try to keep yourself safer. Okay. First off, which is just a useful tool, is look and listen. So you're going to want to count the time between when you see a flash of lightning and when you hear that rumble of thunder. Every 5 seconds that you count is roughly a mile in distance away from you.
Okay.
So there's something called the 30-30 rule, and now some schools have different guidelines. A lot of universities and things like that have like actual either like an on-site team or they hire out a team that's going to be watching. The PGA does this. They have meteorologists. But the 30-30 rule basically says if you count the time and it's under 30 seconds, then you need to go indoors and stay indoors until 30 minutes after that last rumble of thunder you hear. Okay. And that goes into that thing I was talking about, the bolt from the blue, because you might say like, okay, it looks like the clouds are starting to leave. But if you can still hear thunder, that lightning can still probably reach you. And as an application form of me admitting that like anyone can mess this up, when my husband and I were on vacation this summer with our daughter, we went out to the beach. We were in Florida, and I was tracking, of course I was, storms on my phone with my radar app that I have. And I saw storms were approaching, and I started measuring out the distance they were away. And I said, okay, they're like 9 miles away. Like, they're pretty far. It's blue sky over us. But we could hear thunder. And I said, you know what? We already ordered food, but as soon as the food gets to us, let's grab it and take it up to our room. So we were just waiting. And within like 5 minutes of me saying that, we had this flash of lightning and almost instantaneous rumble of thunder. And in my personal life experience, it was the loudest thunder I've experienced. Because I'm fairly certain that the lightning bolt hit one of the hotels that were right next to us, because we were right on the beach. The whole beach cleared out immediately. Obviously, everybody was freaked out. And actually, the hotel had like a protocol. They kicked everybody out of the pool. They sent everybody indoors. They like, hey, get out. But even me, I looked and I was tracking like, okay, it's pretty close. Like we probably got a couple minutes. Technically, we were within that 10-mile bubble. And it was very close and scary. Somehow my daughter was napping and she slept through that, which she doesn't sleep through like a floorboard creak at home, but
kids. There was another question, if we could scroll up a little bit, but she said, I can't remember who it was from, but they saw like a blue bubble. What is that?
So I'm just guessing on this one that when you get that flash of lightning, that you're, depending on how cloudy it was, like other air quality elements, if there was dust in the air, you're probably getting some refraction of like light. So you might have seen, I mean, that split second of the lightning flash, of course, it's light.
Yeah.
So I presume that that's probably what it was. Sometimes people during tornadoes report that they think they see a green color to the sky, that the sky turns green. And it's like the same concept. In that scenario, it's because hail is reflecting light in a weird way. And so you end up seeing this green tint to the sky during tornadic activity sometimes. So I would bet it was probably something similar to that.
Interesting.
And then I think someone asked about, let's see here, the longest lightning strike. I actually don't know that off the top of my head. That sounds like a fun stat that I should know.
Krystal,
I
you don't know that?
I try to know a lot, but that one I'm not sure of.
How dare you?
In terms of safety, if you are out in like a lightning storm,
Okay.
Obviously the most obvious thing is get indoors if you can.
Yep.
Stay if you are outdoors and you can't immediately get indoors. You don't want to be next to tall things. You don't want to go hide under like a singular tree. If it is a whole forest of trees, although that's not great, it's a little better. But like if a tree on a hill, like do not go stand under that, because a lightning strike, again, path of least resistance. And you don't want to be near like conductive items like a metal awning. Bad idea. Metal is gonna send that lightning down. If you are out in open, you're like hiking, superstitions, and you're out in open land and you don't know what to do. The best thing you can do is try to make yourself as low to the ground as possible without like splaying out. Like you don't want to lay on the ground because then you're creating like a wide area of surface connection to the ground.
Just sit?
No, you want to kind of squat in a little ball, like on your toes, sort of. If you have something that kind of is non-conducive, say like you've got like a rubbery backpack, something like that, put that under your feet, stand on that. And just make yourself short and small without a lot of contact to the ground.
Yeah.
Of course, that's worst case scenario if you feel like you are in the middle of a fury of lightning and you're out in open land. If you have a car nearby, getting in the car is great as long as there's a cover to the car. A lot of people think it's the rubber wheels that protect you. It's actually the metal shell of the vehicle that protects you. So, a convertible would be useless. That would not help you at all.
Okay.
But a metal car, if you can get in that and wait it out as well. So those are all kind of like good things to know. And then in the situation that happened just yesterday, the people who were struck, you can administer help to them immediately. There's like a kind of like a myth that maybe people still have like an electrical charge through them.
Yep.
That is incorrect. Once the lightning has passed through them, they're safe to help them. Yes, correct. Yeah,
interesting.
So
much interesting stuff. So we have about 45 seconds. So coming up after our break here, we have a really interesting story. We've been talking about it all morning because we're not fans of spooky stuff. But Krystal's husband Josh is.
Yeah, he's a horror film fan.
Yes, he loves it. So we're going to be talking to a psychologist with Banner. He's going to be telling us just kind of about the psychological aspects of, what makes somebody like horror? Why are other people really scared and don't want anything to do with it? So we're really...
It should be fun.
I know.
And I'm interested to see if anybody has any questions
Hopefully
about it
he doesn't say anything bad about Josh.
I know. Like, what does this mean about my husband?
Well, he's crazy because he likes horror stuff. So stick with us. We'll be right back, guys. right, welcome back, everyone. As we have promised, we have an awesome doctor here with us today with Banner. This is Dr. Tyler Vestal, and we called him in here because this week we've kind of been focusing on all things spooky.
Yeah.
And this is really cool because we're going to talk about kind of the psychological aspects of people who, because you have the folks, right, who love horror,
yeah,
and the others
Right
who
here.
and the others who, I mean, they absolutely hate it. So first and foremost, scary movies. What's your? Have you ever?
Okay, I wouldn't say I have a favorite
Yeah, 'cause
because
I was
I'm not
gonna
like
say
a
we
huge
don't really
fan of
like 'em.
them.
Yeah.
But I do remember like vividly one of the first scary movies that just like actually terrified me. I think it was called 13 Ghosts. I think was the name of
Ooh.
it. All I know is that there was like several. It was like a haunted house, of course, and there were several scenes that like looked too much like my house.
Yeah.
And I could not like use certain rooms in the house without picturing the ghosts in that movie for months afterwards.
Oh my
so.
gosh. Yeah, I was Freddy Krueger. I remember my family would be watching all together in the living room, and I was so terrified that I would run out of the room and only go back for the commercials. So I became well-versed in all things commercials.
Do you have a favorite then?
Yeah, what about you, Doctor?
Indeed, I do. I was just talking about this. The Ring. When the Ring came
my
out.
gosh.
Yes.
Oh.
Because it's so real.
Scary.
Like it could actually happen. Yes. Oh
Supposedly,
my goodness.
yes. I hope not, but
Yeah,
yes.
I really hope not. Well, Doctor, if you want to just kind of get into it, this is something that you actually wrote your thesis on back in school.
Yes. So when I was in college, as part of our writing program called the Thematic Option, each class was themed to, movies, heroism. My class was actually on love, but I decided to take that in a little bit different direction and explore the love that exists within horror movies and films. And, well, my favorites are actually in the slasher subgenre. So I spent a lot of time watching Nightmare on Elm Street, a lot of times watching the Halloween movies, and Friday the 13th would be another member of that genre. Yes, indeed. So, first off, though, thank you for having me here. I really appreciate it. So, when it comes to horror movies, it's about that excitement, that thrill that we experience. And the same things that we feel when we're scared are the same things that we feel when we're sort of experiencing positive emotions, like love, right? The racing heart, the shallow breathing, sometimes the sweaty palms, as well as the intensity of our perceptions and even the deepening of our memories. We remember that house
vividly.
We remember when we're watching Freddy Krueger, everything about it. Why? Because our sensations and our perceptions are heightened, right? So some people, and that's why we say it's like the thrillers, right? The experience of falling in love. The same physiological reactions that we're having are very similar to our positive emotions as well.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And we call this the misattribution of arousal.
Okay.
Yes. So another piece of it is that when we're watching a horror film, we're actually in a safe and a secure environment.
Sure.
Right.
Movie
in the
theater.
back of our minds, a cool movie theater, yes.
Home.
Yes. Surrounded by people that hopefully are supportive of us.
Not wearing masks.
Exactly.
No weapons.
Exactly. No weapons. I hope so. No leaky faucets maybe in the background that we can hear. Indeed. So we're in the back of our minds, we know that we're in a safe and a secure environment. And that's very useful because it allows us to approach something that's scary, heighten all of those perceptions, get that excited response, that excitement, and be able to be relieved from it, right? And in a way, almost conquering our fears.
Yeah. And you mentioned that too in a crime podcast and crime documentaries and all of that is so big right now. Is that kind of the same thing, would you say, of like, it's unfortunate that what these crime documentaries are covering, but you're kind of in your safe space and thinking, this isn't me, it's not my life, but it takes you out of reality for a second.
It's because we're curious. These are fears, real fears that we have, and we're curious to explore them. And what better place to explore them than when we're safe, of course. And then as we approach it, it allows us to maybe imagine that we won't be as scared if something like that were happening to us, right? And similar things actually happen, since you mentioned Nightmare on Elm Street, right? A similar thing happens within our dreams, too. What are we doing by rehearsing some of these really scary events, right? Such that if we experience them in our waking life, we're better prepared.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
Krystal, any questions about Josh, your husband? So
Yeah.
she says Josh is a
lot of questions.
Okay.
So my husband loves horror films, and I give him October as the month to drag me into watching stuff. That's like
I love it.
I told him, you have one more week to have me watch scary stuff before it's time to put on a Christmas movie and watch people fall in love.
Lifetime.
So I'm curious, is it? So I personally like a suspenseful film where I'm like, ooh, what's gonna happen?
More
But
of a
once
psychological thriller?
Yes, but once it tips over into like the murder mayhem or like very scary creatures in the dark, then I kind of want to tap out. But he loves it all. So is there a variety of like what you like, what it means, or what it triggers?
Of course. And it says something more about your preferences, your curiosities. Exactly. So it's based on our personality. So you can think about, say, a supernatural horror film, for example. It's about spirituality. It's about what's the meaning of our life. What's death look like, which is terrifying, right?
Yeah.
But it allows us to explore that. Some people like a conclusion, an end to the movie. Some people are more comfortable in moral ambiguity.
Oh, that one drives me nuts when I'm like, but what happened? What happened?
Exactly.
Oh, did they get them?
And what about haunted houses? So that's you're putting yourself into the physicality of the horror,
scare,
of the
Yes.
scare. So what is there a difference between at home in your little safe place and watching a movie towards going to a haunted house to pay to be scared, which I think is crazy.
Pay to be scared. Yes, pay to be scared. Now notice, we do pay people to scare us.
Yes.
We don't pay people to make us anxious. That is different. That is different.
Yeah.
But in the back of our minds, again, we know that that haunted house ultimately is not real, right?
Yeah.
And so we can be more comfortable and also relieved when we get to the end of it. Oh my gosh, I did it, right? And so it's practicing that courage and actually becoming a little bit more brave. Indeed.
Yeah.
So is there a difference between, now that you're saying, you know that a haunted house isn't real, is there a difference between the emotions you feel when you're at a haunted house or watching a scary movie and when you are truly afraid of something?
Oh, certainly. Because now it's not as comfortable, right?
Yeah.
We're not in that same secure space. But that doesn't mean that we're not ready and prepared to act on it. Remember, it's that same adrenaline rush, that same excitement, that same heightening of our perceptions. And if we've, say, rehearsed it in a way, we're better prepared. But yes, there's a difference between experiencing these as positive emotions
Interesting.
and negative emotions.
I'm curious, are you married?
Yes, indeed. I am married.
Does your wife or does your spouse, do they like scary stuff?
Oh, yes, indeed.
Oh, okay.
Two peas in a pod.
One of our favorite movies that we saw was the, body horror film, The Substance. Did either of you guys see that?
No, I'm sure my husband
You're
has.
talking to two girls who hate this stuff. No, we have not seen it.
So it's with Demi Moore, and I won't get into all the details, but it explores sort of aging, in fact, which is
really scary.
Which is a fear that we all have. And so we want to explore that process of aging. What are we doing now that might affect how we look in the future? What risks are we taking? How comfortable are we with those risks, knowing that eventually they may appear?
Interesting. We have a couple questions. Sorry, I've been ignoring everybody. I'm so focused on all this.
We're new to all of it.
I know. I'm like, oh my goodness here. Okay, so Brandy the Bookworm, why do phobias like a phobia of crickets give us the same reaction as a jump scare? Or side note, does a fear of crickets have a name?
I think that someone's afraid of crickets.
Brandy the Bookworm, stay inside. Well, I guess no, crickets can be inside too.
Yeah.
So.
They can indeed. They can indeed. So the idea is that when we are having a phobia is that it's out of proportion to the threat. That's the real threat that's there. That our perception of the threat is so scary that it causes a change in our behavior, usually avoidance. And sometimes, maybe there's not a cost to avoidance when, say, we're, avoiding scorpions in the backyard. But there could be if we're avoiding, say, enjoying a birthday party at the park because we're afraid of seeing a cricket.
Got it. Okay. And does anything from our childhood affect, maybe later in life, being afraid of horror movies or stuff or anything like that?
Phobia.
Indeed. And I've got a personal example here from this. In high school, I was about 16 years old. I remember the exact theater that we went to see the remake of the movie Halloween.
Okay.
Sort of one of the original slasher movies that, in a way, started off the genre. And I'm sitting there, and the villain pulls on the mask, and I had a panic attack.
Oh, no.
Sitting in the theater, having a panic attack. Didn't know why, couldn't get out of my seat. It was terrifying. And what was it about that caught that mask in particular? So after coming out, relieved, surrounded by my friends, of course, I was thinking about it. The same mask worn by my father terrified me at 3 years old, right around that time. So it's what I was bringing into the movie that made that so much more horrifying.
Yeah. And I wonder, too, I remember as a kid, my dad would take my sister and I to haunted houses when we were, I would say 4 and 6. Oh, no, I'm not kidding. My dad is crazy, folks. And it would just be us, him and his 2 girls, and I'd be on his shoulders and Jessica would be on his hip and screaming the entire way. I don't even know why. Can we get Nathan on the phone? Why did you do this? And I wonder, looking back at it now, I remember standing in those lines being terrified as a kid.
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe he
Triggered fear in adulthood.
Thanks, Dad.
Oops.
Yeah.
There it is.
There it is.
Yes,
Doctor, you
some
have a
of these
winner.
memories, it's what you were bringing into the haunted house, which make them more scary.
Yes.
But also, as you go through them, you probably also feel a greater sense of relief at the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely.
I think we only have like 90 seconds left. Obviously, do you want to talk just quickly about, you're not only talking horror films at your job. Like, if people are interested in reaching out to you or anything else with Banner?
To talk about their fear from a child.
Yes. In fact, I'm actually working with a client right now who has a specific fear of heights, for example. And we go up onto the higher floors and get a little bit closer to the edge every time. So if people want to find me, I'm with Banner Health. I work at the Banner Health Center Plus at the New River Trails office.
Amazing.
And I am part of a general adult psychiatry practice.
And so just adults? Is that
just adults?
Just
yes.
adults.
Just
okay.
adults. Yes.
Yeah, and you a wide variety of all types of topics.
Yes. As a psychiatrist, from thought disorders to mood disorders, anxiety disorders, and the broad spectrum of abnormal human behavior.
Interesting. Well, thank you
This
so
was
much.
such a great conversation. I'm going to go home and talk to my husband. Listen, I've learned a few things.
You must
babe.
not have had a scarred childhood, Josh.
And remember that misattribution of arousal. A horror movie makes for a great date.
Ooh.
One of the first dates he took me to a horror movie. So he did.
Oh, that makes sense.
Well, I guess it works. They're very happily married. Oh, my goodness. Well, happy almost Halloween, everybody. Go enjoy those horror films, haunted houses, whatever
Whatever
you
thrills
like.
you need.
Go
Happy
do
haunting.
it.
Happy
yeah,
haunting.
there you go. Have a great day, everyone. Ron and Desiree are up next. Stick with them.
Well, it's that catchy music that we all love. And a chance to come back out of break and say good morning to everybody who's joining us. A lot of our regulars, some new folks as well. We have Here's Johnny, Brandy the Bookworm, Louis Gonzalez, Mike Fernandez, and a lot of you with all kinds of good comments. So it's so great. By the way, Brandy's like, I am deathly afraid of crickets and a general fear of creepy crawlies getting stuck in my hair. Well, so have you, Des, now you guys have lived here in the Valley for how many years? You and your
5.
fam? Okay.
Coming
Have
up
you
on
had a
6.
scorpion encounter yet?
Oh, quite a few.
Oh, is that right? We need to talk about that more.
Yeah, a handful.
Okay.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
I don't live in a new build or I don't know, so it's kind of odd. But yeah, I found a couple in one particular corner of our house, and that's actually in the kids' play area.
Oh,
so that's a little unsettling.
Right.
And then actually just a couple weeks ago, I found a tiny little baby one in our bathroom, which is opposite side of the house.
So
from
you
the
keep
kids'
finding
area.
it, but there's no stinging going on.
No, thank goodness.
Thank
no.
goodness.
Yeah.
I've been stung so many times.
Scary. What's that feel like?
I tell people the first time that I was being foolish, it was in the evening hours, and I walked outside without my flip-flops on.
Okay.
And what was I doing?
I've done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? But boy, when I stepped on it, I thought I stepped on a nail.
Really? That bad?
It felt that sort of stingy and just going straight up my foot.
Ooh.
And I thought, what? And then I realized what it was.
Was that the one time Ron Hoon dropped an F-bomb? Because I still can't picture you ever saying it, but that might have got you.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what were the... This was 20 years ago.
Oh, a long
this
time.
This is a way newer version of me.
It felt like stepping on a nail.
Yeah.
And then what? It hurt for how long?
Yeah, I'd say it hurt for 2 or 3 hours.
Oh,
called the Poison Control Center. They're like, it'll probably fade away, so you're just going to have to kind of tough it out. As far as I know, that's about all you can do.
So you don't go to the hospital for scorpions? Well, what about if it's maybe littles? Babies, young kids, not even?
I think maybe they're probably, people are allergic to bee stings. There are probably some people that could be allergic to scorpion stings, or you could be the opposite of me, where the first one really hurt, then the second one was not so. And after a while, I'm going to say you build up an immunity to scorpions.
How many times have you been stung?
I think at least 3.
Oh. Okay.
Maybe a 4th time, but anyway, we moved. Now at the new house, we have
none.
Corpse.
Oh, good.
Hey, Des, this story out of the NBA, it's really not out of the NBA. It's out of New York, it seems like. It is the New York district there of the FBI that's handling this whole thing, although the FBI director, Kash Patel, was there. We're going to play a little clip. If you have missed it, some of the star names that if you follow the NBA, Chauncey Billups caught up in this thing. Superstar during the years he played. He is the coach of the Portland Trailblazers. Terry Rozier with the Miami Heat. He's a great player, but boy, their names have surfaced.
Played for the Celtics.
As part of this kind of gambling allegation that is out there, and a story that's only getting bigger. So here's a little bit more about what they were saying this morning.
The first indictment involves 6 defendants who are alleged to have participated in one of the most brazen sports corruption schemes since online sports betting became widely legalized in the United States. This scheme is an insider sports betting conspiracy that exploited confidential information about National Basketball Association athletes and teams. The second indictment involves 31 defendants alleged to have participated in a nationwide scheme to rig illegal poker games. These defendants, which include former professional athletes, used high-tech cheating technology to steal millions of dollars from victims in underground poker games that were secretly fixed. The games in the New York area were backed by the Bonanno, Gambino, and Genovese crime families of La Cosa Nostra.
And the fraud is mind-boggling. It's not hundreds of dollars. It's not thousands of dollars. It's not tens of thousands of dollars. It's not even millions of dollars. We're talking about tens of millions of dollars in fraud and theft and robbery across a multi-year investigation. And look, let's not, mince words. This is the insider trading saga for the NBA. That's what this is. That's why we are going to take heat.
And there you go. I mean, that's a quote that I think a lot of people are focused. This is the insider trading saga, and we're ready to take the heat. So, Des, I feel like there are going to be so many tentacles to this story that we maybe haven't even thought of yet. You have the big headline at first, but I mean, who knows where it goes from here? And I heard a couple of commentators today say, do we really think this is the one and only name out there? Talking about Terry Rozier specifically, not so much Chauncey Billups, because it looks like he was caught up in the poker part of it all.
Yeah, well, and I read some reports that said they were kind of used as face cards, Billups and Jones, to kind of recruit other wealthy individuals into the games, which they knew were rigged, and then they would get a portion of the illegal profits.
Yeah,
so
supposedly.
What a mess. But who would have thought the big mafia families were going to be wrapped up in all of this? I mean, you're talking about, big mafia ties here.
Right. The Gambino family? That's about as big as it gets when it comes to that type of a thing. I thought we were all done with all that. That sounded like something out of The Sopranos from the 1980s.
Yeah, I'm afraid to even say any other names. I'm like, I don't want to be in it.
Okay. Well, we'll keep an eye on it. But so, for example, I'm talking to a friend of mine at work today, and here was his question. So what if I made a prop bet, that now I find out the whole thing was allegedly rigged? Do I get my money back? Do I sue? How about that?
Oh,
I mean,
good question.
There's so many things to think about. Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay. Well, on the opposite side of the scale, the clean as a whistle Phoenix Suns looked really good last night. Let's go to, I'm going to pull this up right here on ENG 21. Look at that. The Suns. The season is underway. And Devin Booker, it's his team again. There's no question about it. We did have another superstar last year. KD was here in town, but D-Book, he was fantastic last night. 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 31 points. And it's a whole new look. The team was behind for most of the game, Des, but they came back and the crowd was cheering them on. And in the fourth quarter, they managed to pull off a win over Sacramento.
Yeah, I mean, that's really exciting. That's the way you want to start off the season. But now they're kind of gone for a long stretch.
Yeah, right.
3 games, I think, on the road before we see them back at home.
Seems early to have to go on a road trip, for goodness sakes. Now, one of the things that is really good news, though, when it comes to the downtown area is, hey, there are all kinds of bars and restaurants down there near the Mortgage Matchup Center. They're going to get a boost. Obviously, they already get a boost during baseball season, but then that's ended a while ago. And there's just always, occasionally there are day games in baseball, but in the Suns, it's a nighttime thing. It really brings that part of downtown alive. And here's more of what they were saying.
A lot of people are out, and it's good. The weather's beautiful. I mean, everybody seems in good spirits.
I've never been to like an opening night event, but I'm gonna assume the energy is gonna be crazy. The fans are gonna be riled up, so I'm excited.
Especially a home opener. I mean, it's a game changer. The Suns have always been a huge draw for us, so we're very thankful.
It's been a whirlwind to prepare for this, but we're expecting anywhere from 20K, 30K, hopefully. Fingers crossed, but it's the best time of the year. I'm a big sports fan myself.
People are excited for the game, excited for a new season, a whole new roster basically, so I think that's change is always nice sometimes, especially after what we experienced last season.
So how about that? Pretty cool, right? I mean, people were excited and they came through at the end, so I thought that was great.
Yeah, in our beautiful arena, too, to be able to enjoy, like that one gentleman said, that was his first opener.
Yeah.
So a good way to start it off with a win.
I would say at the first game of the season is always exciting, and then anytime they're in the playoffs, there's just, if you walk into the arena when it's a playoff game, there's like an electricity in the air.
Mm-hmm.
It's really fun.
Yeah.
So we got to get back to that,
Let's
right?
keep it going. Yeah.
Okay. Now, so that's kind of the business report from downtown. A lot of businesses hoping things are going good. We have run so many stories about prices are changing. and they're always going up. It's somewhat shocking to be able to report that prices are going down, Des, at this location when it comes to the Thanksgiving meal.
Oh, you love Wally World.
Yeah, there you go. So they said that their Thanksgiving meal basket is $3 cheaper than last year. What do you think?
Okay, we'll take it for sure. I mean, how many people does this feed? Let's see. It says
I think
10 or more, looks like.
Yeah, right. It has about 20 items.
Yeah, less than $4 per person. I mean, that sounds great. 25% discount compared to last year.
That's a lot.
So that's nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's going to help big time. Trying to what's in it?
Oh, I think we almost saw it there for a second. We know you get the turkey. I'm
Gotta
sure you
have
get
the
the
turkey.
stuffing.
Are you guys doing a turkey this year?
We are. Now
Is it like a non-negotiable in your house?
I'm just assuming.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
But you're thinking something else.
I don't know. I'm just thinking of not. It's just so much work. And my husband doesn't like turkey.
Oh.
He always like wants a steak.
Okay.
So I'm like, do I even bother making a whole bird?
Why not do steak for Thanksgiving?
Yeah, we might. We'll see. My parents will be in town, so
nice.
I'll let them decide if they want it.
Oh man.
If they want one, I'll do one. But
that's so great. Okay, hey, one more story, and it has to do with another name in the retail world. It's Chipotle. They're bringing back their Halloween burrito deal, and here's how it works. You A, have to be a reward member, and then B, on Halloween, you have to show up from 3 p.m. until closing in costume. A and B equals C. You don't get a free meal. You get a $6 credit toward an entree.
Well, I hope at that same visit, right? Like, don't tell me it's $6 towards
like a
credit toward a future purchase.
I mean, can you just give away a meal, just a burrito?
I mean, the guac, like something, like that's free,
right? Yeah. All right. Well, good for them for at least trying to come up with something.
I mean, I guess it would cost too much because their burritos are kind of pricey
right?
now.
10, $11 now, for sure. Okay, time for a break here. Look, somebody's got a nice Toyota dealership going on a cloudy day. Where do you suppose the mystery cam is? You guys can give us your guesses. Mystery Cam guesses, Des. I'm seeing Louis Gonzalez is saying Iowa, and Charles David is saying Kansas. What are you thinking? What are you seeing?
I like Kansas. Sure.
Yeah.
I was just shopping, honestly.
Oh,
trying to pick out my new Toyota.
Yeah. We were joking about whatever TV station this is. How did they get that deal worked out with the guy that runs the Toyota dealership? Get a camera right in my parking lot. Hilarious. I have to go somewhere a little colder. I mean, warmer, because I think the leaves would be turning if it's up there in Iowa or Kansas or something like that. Is this like a police car? What's happening? Oh, no. Wait. No, I feel like its lights were
the lights are
weird.
Maybe is it just
undercover?
The camera? Oh.
Unfortunately, drove right out of the shot. Now we don't know. Okay, so I think, what are you thinking about, Des?
I said Kansas, right? I was just going with someone in the chat. Okay. Yeah, because I really have no clue.
By the way, Jon Noetzel joins us.
Yeah, I was going to say, are we going to have Jon?
Jon,
guess?
you can jump in. Oops, hang on here. Hold on. Jon, you got a guess as well? Where do you think?
I agree. The leaves are not changing. I'm going to go somewhere in the south. I'm going to say somewhere in Arkansas.
Okay. I think I'm going to go Georgia. So we have an Arkansas, a Georgia, and a Kansas. And ladies and gentlemen,
the answer is...
Here she is.
Oh, Hollidaysburg, Pennsylvania.
Is that right? Now, I was just in Pennsylvania last week, and everybody was complaining that the leaves weren't turning because they'd had a little bit of a heat wave. I remember watching a Philadelphia Eagles game a week ago Sunday, like 12 days ago. Yep. And it was 80 degrees.
Oof,
and so everybody was saying it's just too warm for October, right?
Way too warm.
The leaf, that's perfect.
Be changing, right? Wow.
Yeah, they sure should
be. My goodness.
Anyway, okay, so you hear the voice of Johnny Noetzel, everybody. And every once in a while, we love to bring Jon in to get everybody up to speed on one of our very top streaming shows, The Great American Story.
We love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, for sure.
Des is a fan, for sure.
Well, anything you two do, I'm a fan. And plus, Jon is kind of our boss, so I'm definitely a fan.
Well, he's so high up there in management. I don't even know
like this guy's got pull that you wouldn't even believe.
I couldn't do this without him.
Anyway,
are you kidding me?
We have fun.
We do. We have a great time.
But as I say every week when we record, we're just a couple of history nerds sitting around for a half hour in a fake log cabin.
That's right.
Talking history and swapping stories.
I love it. Oh, fake? You didn't know?
Did you hear? Okay, in our ears, Dave. What did you just say?
I'm shocked that it's fake. I thought you guys had a real log cabin.
No, the fireplace we can't. OSHA. We can't have fire burning on our green screen.
Do you know how many fire alarms we have in this building, Big D? Come on now. All right, so Jon, let's talk a little bit. There are a couple of things we want to talk to you about. Let's talk about the episode. First of all, how can people, if they haven't yet, watch The Great American? Now, Tyler Lewis, I haven't seen Tyler on for a few days, but Tyler was the one who said, as a suggestion, hey, I love your show. Why don't you guys do something on all the world's fairs?
Yeah.
Which was exactly then what got you to work. And somehow you are able to find all the pictures, all the images. This is the Chicago World's Fair of 1893, the White City, they called it, because people were amazed that you could light up the buildings at night. It was the debut of electricity.
Yep, and the Ferris wheel. This was the answer to the Eiffel Tower in Paris when they unveiled the Eiffel Tower in their World's Fair. Well, Chicago said, "We'll try to do you one better," and they made the Ferris wheel. And there's a vast amount of resources when it comes to history, which is real. I'm learning this. It's just some of the things they debuted at the fair. The zipper was debuted. Juicy
Fruit. I was going to say, what was that for?
Yeah, that was the zipper. These things were debuted. The moving sidewalk. So you can thank the Chicago World's Fair for that moving sidewalk at Sky Harbor Airport.
Sure,
so really cool innovation was. This is kind of a lost a thing of the past. The World's Fairs. They kind of.
I know.
Thing of yesteryear.
I wish they would bring them back.
Yeah.
The difference is now we live in the internet age, and if you want to find out about Kyoto, Japan, or Shanghai, China, or Slovenia, you just go to your phone and you can find every picture, every backstory, anything you ever wanted to know. But back in those days, it was like, hey, come and see other parts of the world.
Yeah,
bring them to you.
We talked about that on that show, that 40% of the population in America went to that World's Fair, which is just an insane number. I mean, that when you think about it, it was in Chicago in the 1800s. Yeah. That's not New York in the 1800s. That's on the frontier.
And much harder to travel in those days too.
Right.
So that
we
show
yes, exactly.
Something.
So we've uncovered a wealth of resources and stories, and we're trying to piece together these things each week, and things that Ron and I are passionate about, and different things about history, American history, I should say. And there's just, between the National Archives and the Library of Congress and our friends at Movie Tone, which I got to give them a shout out because they provide a ton of content for us.
By the way, my favorite story to come out of the Chicago World's Fair was the Buffalo Bill. With his famous Old West show. He wanted to get into the World's Fair. And they were like, oh, no, that's way too lowbrow. We're a hoity-toity kind of thing here. We're debuting electricity and all that. And they wouldn't let him in. So he actually rented the space right next door to the entrance and did his own competing show.
That's right.
And how did he do?
Oh,
I'm sure he did quite well.
Actually, I think they said that's where he built his fortune.
Yeah.
So many people, because the whole world came to Chicago, and they're like, whoa, hold on a sec. We can go see Buffalo Bill's show.
We actually found a picture of that, too, of his.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, we did. I mean, again, it's just, there's so much out there. And if you watch the show, you can see the picture. But
here's the New York World's Fair from Movie Tone.
This is actually, Ron, this is the 64, right? I thought.
Could be.
No, this is the 39.
Okay, 39,
Yeah, so 39 was the unsanctioned World's Fair in New York that FDR opened, and then they had another one in the 60s. But this is probably, this might be the 60s.
Wow. That's so cool to see. And then their attire, too. Look at the ladies and their beautiful dresses and heels. And
This is the 60s. I don't think this 60s? is this isn't the 30s.
Okay.
So this is from the 30s. So you have Einstein here talking at the World's Fair in the 30s. So so much history, and Ron and I are just weaving through it. There's FDR opening the World's Fair in 1939. Wow. So, it's
why history for you, Jon? Where did this love come from?
I don't know where it came from, other than I love to read, and I always have a book going, and I love American history and books that read, like nonfiction history books that read like a novel, and it's just. I don't know. It just grows on you.
I think I can actually answer that question, Des, very specifically. There was a book that I read when I was like, I don't know, maybe in my early 30s. That it was such a page turner. It was called The Last Lion. It was written by a guy named William Manchester, and it's the life of Winston Churchill. And it's so well written. It's almost like poetry. He was such a great writer. And the stories, page after page, are either, just some of the difficulties he's dealt with, but at the same time, how hilarious he was. He was the kind of guy who would not put up with nonsense. It was said that if he was driving down the street in London and there was a traffic jam up ahead, he'd just take that motor car. This is in the days when they were, new. Not everybody had one. He'd just drive up on the sidewalk and drive around it.
Oh my goodness.
Sir Winston. But yeah.
It was that book.
It's kind of our business too, right? I mean, we document history.
Yeah.
That's what journalists do.
Yeah.
And it's important. It's important to remember our history, and it's important to look back on our history and learn from our history. And America's got such rich history, and I'm just drawn to it. I don't know. And I think I found my
soulmate.
My soulmate in that here. And, so we had a good time.
Actually, one of my all-time favorite quotes is talking about what we kind of do is sort of history in a way. Journalism is history in a hurry.
Yeah.
Yes.
There you go. I like that one.
And it's different because we're when you're in it, you're living it.
Yep. Right.
And you know that, okay, this moment is going to be in the history
you don't
books.
realize, right?
Yeah.
I mean, think about the things that we've covered as journalists. I mean, I know that, I've covered the space shuttle, launches. I mean, that's history. I mean, 50 years from now, we'll look back on that and what was it like to be there? And we all have careers in this business. We can look back on things that we've covered that are truly pieces of history. So that's kind of the neat thing.
I still remember when I was a little kid, the first time I saw the Space Needle.
Yep.
And of course, it was built for the World's Fair in Seattle in the 1960s.
There you go.
And that was another one of the great fairs that we covered. I thought it was really interesting that a Soviet cosmonaut, this is back in the days that the Russians were our mortal enemies, but like Nikita Khrushchev wanted to go see Disneyland and they wouldn't let him, and he got so mad. And there was a Russian cosmonaut that showed up at the World's Fair, and so the U.S. said, hold on, we can up you one. We'll bring John Glenn to the fair. Of course, the first guy to circumnavigate the globe up there in the space program. But every one of these World's Fairs really left their mark on the country and on the cities
Was
that
that
called
like
them
the
home.
first gondola there, or
could have been?
It could have been.
Was that at a fair?
They built all. Yeah, this is the
Which one is
62
it?
Seattle World's Fair.
Oh, this is Seattle.
So they would build all these amazing things that they would debut at the World's Fairs, the monorail.
Yeah.
Walt Disney
You can
actually
still ride that monorail today, by the way, in
no
downtown
kidding.
Seattle.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
I mean, Walt Disney actually took a lot of things from the World's Fair and introduced a lot of things at the World's Fair. Yeah. So
You know what I just realized, John? We got 1 minute left.
Okay.
Let's get to the poll because we want people to vote in this poll. Tell us about it.
Yeah, we have a poll question that we're putting out regularly, and it's our countdown to 250 because we're celebrating our nation's birthday in July. So we're doing a bunch of poll questions. This is our championship question about which president would you like to see, or who deserves to be on Mount Rushmore? If we were to add another face, we got a lot of good comments on this one, a lot of saucy comments as well. But this is the championship round. We had 4 rounds. These were the winners from all the rounds, and you can see John Kennedy is running away with it. A guy that actually didn't finish out his presidency is actually running away with it.
So to vote on that, you go to
YouTube and go to the Fox 10 YouTube page, click on posts, and just scroll down. And we're going to keep putting poll questions out, so feel free to jump in whenever you want.
And so we'll contact the Mount Rushmore Commission and tell them what to do.
Yep, exactly. And they'll get right to work.
Hey, if anybody's got the poll, it's Ron Hoon.
Real quick, we're going to be interviewing Brett Baer tomorrow. Ron and I are about his new book on Teddy Roosevelt. So we're going to have an episode on Teddy Roosevelt, and we're taping a show today on the Memphis Belle, the most famous bomber of World War II.
Oh my gosh.
So we got some great stuff.
Yeah, interesting.
Guess what, Des?
It's time to go already.
We got to say our goodbyes.
Yep.
Can you believe it, Johnny? Thank you.
Thanks for having me. This is great.
Yeah.
Love joining you guys.
Thanks, Ron.
Yep.
We'll see you guys tomorrow.